Hey, nonprofit marketing professionals. This is our October live Q&A, and our theme is all around Giving Tuesday. We don't have any live participants, but with me I have Allison on our team and Savannah from our team. They'll probably show up in a second because when you're watching the replay, it only shows the person who's talking. So Allison, if you want to just introduce yourself really quickly, we'll have people see who you are.
Hi, I'm Allison. I am the communication specialist with Moxie Marketing, and I also do a lot of your captions and things for Nonprofit Marketing Academy.
Awesome, thanks. And Savannah?
Hey, I'm Savannah. I am the marketing technology manager for Moxie Marketing and Nonprofit Marketing Academy. And I assist with a lot of the photos and tech tools available in Nonprofit Marketing Academy.
Awesome, thanks. So now you've seen the core team. Like I mentioned, this is all about Giving Tuesday, which this year is on November 28th. It's a global day of giving, and a lot of nonprofits have a lot of questions about it. So we thought this would be a great opportunity to open up a lot of Q&As and answer some of the most frequently asked questions. So we're gonna jump right in. And the first question we have is, how does a nonprofit register for Giving Tuesday? I'm going to kick that off to Allison.
Okay, yeah, so for Giving Tuesday, you don't actually have to register at all. There's nothing special that you have to do in order to participate in Giving Tuesday. You can just participate, launch whatever kind of campaign that you want. If you decide not to launch your own campaign for Giving Tuesday, you can jump onto some other community ones, and those might require some kind of registration because you'll be participating in someone else's landing page. And the Giving Tuesday website does offer some places where you can find like what certain campaigns that are going on maybe in your local area. But otherwise, if you want to do something yourself, there's nothing special that you have to do to sign up. There's no sign up required. But something that is encouraged is to use the Giving Tuesday hashtag. And if you wanted to add on your own hashtag as well, then that's also encouraged to do. But just the Giving Tuesday one is great so that people can find your organization easily just by clicking that and doing some discovery that way. And also weaving in the Giving Tuesday logo. And one thing that's really great about the Giving Tuesday logo is that it's a heart shape, so it's very easy to integrate into whatever kind of visual assets that you might have. And I'll pull up my screen so you can see, but on the Giving Tuesday website, hopefully everyone can see this, but they actually encourage you to take their logo and get creative with it. So you can rebrand it for your organization. And they make that very easy for you to do, because if you scroll up on this page, it's just givingtuesday.org/logos. You can download whichever version of the logo you might want to use, open the source file for it, and then redesign it however you might want to.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison. And we will make sure to include any links or references that we're mentioning in the description. So we'll have all those links for you. As Allison mentioned, that logo is a great asset, and the intention is to have this global recognition. So there's Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday. It's all lined up in, this shopping craze, if you will, but having a space for philanthropic giving. But yeah, so there's a lot of great resources on the Giving Tuesday website, which we'll link to. And our next question is, why should a nonprofit participate in Giving Tuesday? And I'll give this back to Allison.
So Giving Tuesday has been around for a while now. It started in 2012, so it's been around for a little over a decade. And as a result, it's become a little bit more mainstream, which has let people already be a bit more primed to look to give on Giving Tuesday and to be prepared to actually want to give on this day. And a lot of people are looking for new organizations to give to. So some people may have their go-to, but other ones are looking for something new to give to. So it's a great opportunity to potentially find new donors. And in just 2022, organizations raised in total about $3.2 billion just in the United States. So it is a pretty big day of giving. If you're having a end of year campaign, which hopefully all nonprofits are doing in some kind of capacity, this is a great opportunity to kick that off too, because it's right after Thanksgiving. And it's meant to be originally a way to kind of for everyone who's like buying and consuming things for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, etc. It's a way to kind of turn it around and give back instead. So people are feeling a little bit more ready to do that starting about this time period. What's great about Giving Tuesday, though, too, is while it can be an opportunity to ask for dollars as a fundraising initiative, it doesn't necessarily have to be that either. So if you don't want to go about it that way, you could do something a bit more creative, like asking people to give time to your organization. Or you could even think about it as an opportunity to give back to your supporters. So flipping it kind of around and finding a way to say thank you with some sort of gift or some sort of opportunity. And that could be a fun way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if there's nonprofits that maybe are a social enterprise and they're really looking to stand out in the Black Friday scene, Cyber Monday scene, but they can't necessarily discount products because what you're trying to do is raise money for your mission, this could be a great opportunity to tie in the day of giving back through purchasing things. So there are lots of opportunities. And as Allison said, there's no like guidelines that you have to follow or anything like that. So you're free to be as creative as you can come up with, which we encourage. Our next question is what tools and resources are available to create a Giving Tuesday campaign? I'm going to kick this one over to Savannah.
Yeah, so I think there's no shortage of resources available online for Giving Tuesday. We have some of our own in the Nonprofit Marketing Academy. But to get started, I highly recommend checking out what Giving Tuesday themselves have to offer, just because they do a lot of the legwork for you, like Allison showed with like providing logo files. There's a couple pages, and I'll share on my screen. Um, Here we go. So they do have their landing page for nonprofits that has a bunch of resources. There's a workbook that you can download as a Google Doc and customize for your organization. There's key messaging points. And there's also a lot of like pre-created emails for you to use. I really like this timeline that they have available. On the logos page, there's also additional assets such as gifts that your organization can leverage. Pexels has a bank of free stock images that you can use as well. And then Giving Tuesday also has their own Canva account with templates that you can customize. So they've already done a lot of that work for you that you can then, customize for yourself to use or for supporters to use or for organization to use. But they really make it easy for anyone to take action using these resources.
Thanks, Savannah. Those are some really great examples of done for you things that, again, you can customize. So we'll make sure to link those because the goal is to make Giving Tuesday part of what you're doing or make it as seamless as possible so it doesn't feel like you have a whole other thing to do during the holidays. And those resources definitely help with that. Our next question, what tools and resources, what is the most important thing to do on Giving Tuesday? So I'm going to have each of us answer starting with Savannah.
Have a goal. We'll probably talk about this a little bit more later, but having a goal your community can work towards is going to be really key. So people know what action they should be taking to support your organization on Giving Tuesday. You don't want to be general about it. You want to be specific.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing to remember is, people don't necessarily care about helping you raise $5,000. So if that's your messaging, you might want to think about, a specific quantifiable impact that someone could make toward your overall goal. So saying, for every $25 we get, we're going to be able to help one student in our program do X, Y, Z. That might be a more effective thing than putting it the bigger goal. But internally, yes, always having a goal. Allison.
So my advice is something to not do on Giving Tuesday, which is not to expect Giving Tuesday to be your biggest fundraiser of the year. It's a great opportunity to fundraise. People are looking to donate money on this day, but it's also a very saturated market on this day too. So to expect everyone to put all their money toward you and your cause is probably not going to be as effective as you would hope. So taking advantage of Giving Tuesday, but not expecting it to raise a huge number of funds as you might have for other big fundraisers that you have throughout the year.
Yes, another great tip. So having your goal, but being realistic about your expectations. So if you've done Giving Tuesday in the past, kind of basing it off what your results were from that with a small increase perhaps, or if your audience has really grown, then you could quantify that or multiply that in that regard. If this is your first year, be very flexible with expectations, and expect that most of the people who will donate are going to be your current supporters. So while there is opportunity for gaining new supporters, as Allison mentioned in the beginning, it's really hard to convert someone just on a one-day campaign if they've never donated to you before. And my tip is going to be for those of you who have already done a Giving Tuesday campaign to make sure that you thank supporters for last year's contribution and to reinforce how that money was used and to make sure that message is a singular message without a call to action or an ask. Because what you don't want to do is say, hey, thanks, we did this. Now here's this other goal that we have. Kind of let it space out. So if you're going to maybe only do 2 communications, do a recap with a thank you, and then something a couple days later that's the ask to reignite the impact that they can make by giving again. Moving on to our next question, and it's going to be, if your nonprofit could only do one thing for Giving Tuesday, what should it be? I'm going to give this one to Savannah.
You want to make it really fun and easy for your community to participate in what you're doing on Giving Tuesday. So that could be a social media action kit or just a toolkit, swipe files so people could easily share. But you want to make sure that you have some approved messaging that is going to help people talk about what's going on, because it's really hard to make your Giving Tuesday campaign go viral if you don't have people to help you get the word out. So you want to take as much work off of them as possible by giving them some really easy actions to take. And this could be as simple as a Google document with some social media copy and some email copy and a couple suggested images. It doesn't need to be really, really complicated. The simpler, the better. And if you can work in some fun way to track how people are sharing the message, if there's like a peer-to-peer element or a competitive element, that's even more fun. But at least having something someone can take action on is going to make all the difference.
Yes, definitely. That's a great suggestion, Savannah. Next question is, what are best practices for Giving Tuesday? I'm going to kick this one off to all of us, starting with Allison.
Okay, so I have a few different suggestions of best practices for Giving Tuesday. But the first is to consider just one platform in which you are driving your traffic to in order to generate or to collect your funds where people are donating. So whether that is social media, a landing page for your website, some kind of crowdfunding page like GoFundMe, GiveButter, some of those other ones that exist. Doing so will help to ensure that everyone's going to one place, which can make things easier to track later, and that people can see how much potentially is being generated in terms of funds, as well as see how much you're already collecting, which can and has been demonstrated to encourage more people to give if they already see a lot of people are already donating to you. But then also you have the opportunity to optimize it better as well, because most nonprofits, your bandwidth is pretty tight. So having just one place where you are driving everyone to, so you can optimize that one page, whether it's a landing page, making sure it's mobile friendly, or generating creating the better assets, visual look for some of those crowdfunding platforms, because some might have like specific sizes and things that you need. It all takes a little bit of time. So by just choosing one, you'll be better off. Next thing is to, whenever you are reaching out to your audience, segment those audiences. So that way you can change your messaging depending on who you're reaching out to. So whether you're emailing them or reaching out to them on social media or whatever kind of place that your messaging is existing, making sure that you understand who that audience is. And so you might send more than one email, for example, depending on who your audiences are, maybe supporters, maybe volunteers, maybe past donors. And then changing the language a little bit to make sure that it appeals to them. And then last, making sure you have, and I think Savannah alluded to this earlier, but having a specific ask or goal rather than just a general donation call. So not just saying, hey, please donate to us. Here's what we do in general. That's not going to drive people to donate nearly as much as having an idea of what their dollars are going to do specifically this time. So maybe it is, I think Jeanette, you mentioned like $25 will, help to buy a backpack for a student. Maybe in this case, for this campaign, you're wanting to create supplies for an entire classroom. But making it more specific than just like, we help students is going to be a lot better in terms of getting people to donate to you.
Definitely. And then Savannah, what are your suggestions?
Well, I have a couple as well. So start communicating early. The bulk of your work for Giving Tuesday should not be happening on Giving Tuesday or the day before Giving Tuesday. You can announce your Giving Tuesday campaign as early as now or the beginning of November, but you should start that communication early and start prepping early. That way on Giving Tuesday, pretty much everything should be in the works and happening. The other thing is identifying what success looks like, even if your success isn't maybe reaching a fundraising goal, maybe it's engaging a certain number of donors or supporters, but having a really clear idea of like what is going to make your team feel like you've achieved something at the end of this campaign. And then setting stretch goals. So if you do have like a big goal that you're trying to reach, like 10,000, figure out some times to celebrate if you reach goals in between that. So maybe it's getting 25% of the way there, 50%, and this could be an internal or external celebration. So maybe it's more of a thing that you and your team are celebrating because you've reached the goal, or it's something you're celebrating in a giving circle or in a community online. But figure out a way to celebrate those wins along the way. It'll make the day feel more celebratory, and I think it's more in the spirit of what Giving Tuesday is all about.
Yes, absolutely. And something you mentioned, Savannah, had me think about not just giving dollars, which Allison also alluded to earlier, but one, there could be an educational component where people still don't know about Giving Tuesday as much as in the nonprofit world we do know about it, hear about it. So starting that communication early could help people, your supporters who don't know about Giving Tuesday, understand what it is. But going back to the giving not needing to be dollar specific, you could say it's Giving Tuesday, please give us your feedback. So there could be a lot of different ways that you could ask for engagement and having that be a goal that you could say, wow, we got a lot of feedback and that was something people really were able to do. So we got, 100 responses instead of maybe like 10 donations. So what's valuable there? And you can have those discussions internally. The other thing that I'll mention for best practices, as we mentioned earlier, is just to get really creative. And so think outside the box for things like getting feedback. Even maybe you're giving your audience something specific. So let's say that you are a mental health organization and maybe you create resources for your clients. Maybe you put out a meditation that day and say, we're giving you something without asking for anything in return. So the more that you can thank people in advance, get the word out in advance, and be creative to not only think about giving in the sense that you're getting something, but giving to your community could be a great way to keep building relationships. And that's all going to depend on current relationships, what you're doing, and what your focus is. So definitely recommend having internal discussions starting now, leading up to Giving Tuesday, as opposed to, like Savannah saying, doing it the day of, because that tends to yield little results and you usually stress yourself out too much anyway. Okay, moving on to some examples. What are examples of successful Giving Tuesday campaigns? Savannah, do you have any of those to share?
I do. One of my favorite places to look for successful or like very fun Giving Tuesday campaigns is Give Butter. They do a really great job of celebrating awesome campaigns, either because of their creativity or because they reach an incredible goal. So I found three that I really thought were awesome. One of them is Fill the World with Arts for Life, and they did a Giving Tuesday mural that people collaborated on, which I thought was a really cool element that is fun. It's a virtual way of celebrating Giving Tuesday, but it does connect to both their mission, and it also gave their community an opportunity to participate in a way other than just donating. So I thought this was a really fun one. This other one that I love is from Prospector Theater. They made their $7,000 goal around their 7th birthday. So I think that's a really cool way to have a dollar amount goal, but have it be meaningful more than just being that dollar amount. And so they surpassed their goal. 131% of their goal they reached. So that's really exciting for them. And they did a really good job of engaging with their community and using the peer to peer aspect of Give Butter to make their campaign successful. And then the final one is an example of a campaign that reached its goal, and they started actually fundraising prior to Giving Tuesday. So they had a really long runway. About a month before Giving Tuesday, they started promoting it. So by the time Giving Tuesday arrived, there was already donations that were showing up. And I think that momentum really helped them go across the finish line and reach more than 100% of their goal. And they did some cool videos with music that they were sharing on their social platforms. So they were able to show different ways that the funds were going to support what they were doing. And they also made it really community oriented and had a bunch of supporters do peer to peer fundraising as well. So those are three that I thought were fun and creative and found a cool way to integrate their mission into a fun fundraising campaign.
Awesome. Those are great examples. And the way I think, Savannah, you found those was probably just searching Give Better and for Giving Tuesday, right?
Yeah, they actually do a like a contest every year where you can actually submit your campaign to them for I think there's like a creativity award and there's a couple other ones. So if you go into their 2021 and 2022 um like entries, you can see all the ones that got awards, but you can also just search their entire database to find different campaigns. Their platform is really cool because they have auctions that you can run, events, peer-to-peer fundraising. So you get to see a lot of different types of fundraising campaigns for Giving Tuesday. You can also see ways that they're leveraging multiple tools. So if you're looking for inspiration, I highly recommend checking out Give Butter. Another place you can look is GoFundMe, but Give Butter is really focused on nonprofits. So I recommend checking there first.
Awesome. Well, again, we'll make sure to put those specific links Savannah shared in the description, but that gives you an idea of how you can just look for them on your own, depending on what field you're in, industry you're in. And we did I think it was in 2018 or 2018, a YouTube video on successful Giving Tuesday campaigns. I'll link that in the description. It's always worthwhile to check out what the big nonprofits are doing or have done in the past as well. That might give you inspiration. They usually have big marketing budgets and teams, so you could kind of just take a look and see, what's feasible to maybe copy with your own messaging and twists on it versus having to start things from scratch. And we'll also have some resources in the Nonprofit Marketing Academy so that those can help you as well. Moving on to our next question, how to find a corporate partner for Giving Tuesday. So on one of those examples Savannah shared, there was actually a match, a $40,000 match. I think it was the last one with the school program that she was showing. And that's an example of having a corporate partner, or it could have actually been a donor who was an individual, but something along those lines is you could find someone to help match your goal. And what you want to do is start with any corporate partners you're currently engaged with. So if you have a connection, finding out what's going to be a good partnership for them. So if you say, hey, we want to include you in our Giving Tuesday campaign, would you be willing to do a match? We'll include you in all of our collateral material, whether that's email, social media posts, etc. Or maybe they're already planning to give to your organization at the end of the year. You could leverage that and say, hey, why don't we collaborate for Giving Tuesday so that people feel like their donation is doubled, their impact is doubled, as opposed to, you only giving at the end of the year. It's a much more collaborative opportunity. So that's going to depend on relationships you already have. Or perhaps there is a local coffee shop or business that you encounter with a lot or have a relationship with. What you could do is ask them to donate a portion of their sales to your nonprofit on Giving Tuesday. So that could be a great way for them to get involved in Giving Tuesday, even though they're not a nonprofit. So if it's a local coffee shop, they could say, anyone who comes in on Giving Tuesday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., we're donating 10% to X nonprofit. So those are just a couple creative ideas. It never hurts to ask. And so if you give yourself a little bit of the runway, figure out what your goal is, start communicating early so you can tell that corporate partner potentially how they're going to be marketed by you to promote whatever your collaboration is. That's going to give you a better chance at success of getting one. Moving on to what is the best technology tools for Giving Tuesday? Savannah, what do you think?
Well, for free fundraising tools, if your organization is approved to do Facebook or Meta fundraising, you can use Facebook and Instagram to collect donations. If you want to do a more social-based campaign, GoFundMe is another popular option. And then if you're looking for two that are more nonprofit focused, GiveButter or DonorBox are really popular. I know DonorBox is one that people really like if you're more of an international organization. But GiveButter is also a really great option, and their tools are free, and they have a lot of resources available to you, as well as a email messaging program that is also free. So highly recommend checking them out. On the analytics side, using any of the Google products or Meta Business to track what's going on with your social promotion and your website is really key. On the design side, Canva, which has a free for nonprofits option, Design Stripe, which is a new AI tool that lets you create social content, and then Pexels also has that free folder of images you can use for Giving Tuesday. On the copywriting or side, Grammarly is a really helpful tool, and then ChatGPT could help you do some brainstorming. And then for community engagement, you can always check out some social streaming platforms, whether it's Facebook Live or Instagram Live or Twitch. And then Zoom is also a really great tool if you want to connect with your community on the day of Giving Tuesday or prior to Giving Tuesday to get the message out or talk about what you're doing with your organization. So those are some of the ones I would recommend, but we'll include a full list with this.
Yeah. And it might seem like a tense. We're giving you guys a lot of information. So it's kind of just pick and choose what you need. There's some of you who are going to be a little more advanced and want to use something like Chat GPT to help create your messaging. And some of you might say, like, I don't even know what that is yet. So we're just trying to get all the resources, all the information, but we'll streamline that in the description. All right, so next question is how to engage donors after Giving Tuesday. So this is a great question because it's helping plan it in advance so that your holidays aren't going to be as crazy because you already have a plan. Allison, what are your thoughts here?
So I think one of the most important things is ensuring that you're finding some kind of way to collect emails or other kind of contact information from your donors. So that way you can keep in contact with them after the fact and keep them within your pipeline as a donor to donate more in the future or to stay connected to your organization. But by far, I think the most important thing to do is to make sure that you say thank you. So share how that money will be used, like the impact that they made by making their donation. And the more personalized you can make that thank you, the better. So whether that is changing the language of an email, if you have the bandwidth to send personal notes or make phone calls, that's even better. But I know a lot of bandwidth is not available during that time of year. So just changing the language maybe a little bit depending on the group of donor, that could be potentially enough. But if they get a really big donation, then definitely do some kind of special reach out to those donors because you definitely want to retain them for the future. But also think about, I guess I was also going to say that in order to keep them engaged, also consider whenever you send your thank you, invite them to follow you on social media if they're not already, or to share maybe other ways that they can engage besides donations. So if you have some kind of event going on, you want to invite them, or other ways that they can learn more about your organization, especially if it's a new donor. Those are great ways to help to keep them kind of in the know of your organization and what's going on. But also using this as an opportunity to lead into your end of year campaign. So don't right away ask for another ask that's they already just gave to you. And so the thank you should be enough at this point, but keep them still kind of in the loop for down the line and maybe a few more weeks, letting them know about what's going on for your end of year campaign. So whether that's another donation from them, another ask, or um, encouraging them to share what's going on with their friends and their network, that could be another great way to engage them.
Awesome. One thing you could also do is ask um, why they donated this Giving Tuesday and put that into your storytelling, or to again gather information that's going to help you appeal to more people like that donor or those donors. So having conversations with people is always also encouraged, and by having conversation with them you might learn like they want to be more involved and they have more to give in end of year campaign and want to figure out how to do that with you. So the more personal, like Allison saying, you can get, whether it's getting on the phone with someone, a direct email to them, well, it's great to have, a generic email that goes out to talk about the success or the impacts that was able to happen because of the donations on that day. It's even more compelling if there is a one-to-one communication that you can put out to people who take action and invest in you. Awesome. So that was really great advice. And we have one more question, which is a good one. This is kind of part of our Loving Warrior series to look at you as a nonprofit professional in terms of what you need. And the question is how to manage your day on Giving Tuesday to avoid burnout. Savannah, I'm going to kick this over to you.
Yeah, I would first set some times to engage on social platforms or through your community or however you're talking to your donors, and then set times not to engage, right? To give yourself a breather. Schedule your posts and emails ahead of time. If you're not able to schedule emails in your current platform, at least have your emails drafted and ready to go. So that way you can just hit send when they need to be sent out. And then, like I mentioned earlier, definitely celebrate your wins. So if you are seeing success or you've reached a stretch goal, make sure that you are celebrating that moment and enjoying that moment because your hard work helped make that happen. And that is going to make it a much more enjoyable Giving Tuesday.
Definitely. And if you have a coffee maker, make sure the night before you set that up ready to go. So it's one less thing to do the day up. But yeah, make sure you're taking care of yourself. And if, let's say, your Giving Tuesday campaign tanks and you don't get much activity, or you don't meet the goal that you had hoped for, know that that's okay, and you can learn from everything. And the end of the year giving for the whole month of December is still something you can refine. You can leverage the fact, like, hey, we were going for this goal on Giving Tuesday, we didn't meet it, but we still need help. If you can, you know, help us by the end of the year. And most donations do come in that last week of December anyway. So make sure that you are planning, like Allison says, to leave a little bit of a gap, but you can jump right back into fundraising efforts so that you can get the dollars your organization needs to fulfill its mission. And heartfelt storytelling always wins. So if you are a nonprofit that ends up not meeting your goals, make sure you have maybe your founder or board members appeal by sharing some personal stories. And that usually really helps convert donors. All right, Allison, Savannah, was there anything else you wanted to note for Giving Tuesday before we wrap up?
I had one last thing. It's kind of part of that avoiding burnout, but also setting yourself up for success. I think when you work in marketing, you're aware that a lot of eyes are on you and people have a lot of opinions about what you're doing and how you could be doing things better. And often people just want to help. So creating a place where people can share their feedback with you, whether that's donor feedback, board member feedback, feedback from your coworkers or your teams, but making sure you have a place for that so that you're not having to field those questions or deal with that feedback while you're in the midst of something that really needs your attention. So creating an opportunity for people to share is a really great way to make sure that you are not overwhelmed by the feedback you're getting and you don't feel like you need to scramble to find solutions in that time, because there will always be a time to address that and implement those changes if they are really good suggestions that are going to help you be successful in the future.
Yes. And that's speaking from experience. So thanks for sharing that, Savannah. Well, thank you guys for watching this. If you're interested in being a part of our live Q&As in the future, you can join our monthly membership. Or if you're watching this, you probably are a monthly member, but you can join us live and ask your question real time, or you can continue to submit them through the form and we will answer them and provide them in the recording like we're doing now. So we wish you the best of luck for Giving Tuesday. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below and we will get back to them. So thank you for watching, and Savannah and Allison, thank you for sharing your wisdom and insights with everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.